And so I explained to them that it started in 1944 with Donald Watson creating the word vegan out of the word vegetarian. He took the first three letters and the last two and put it together for the word vegan. And his definition for was do no harm to sentient beings. He said, "Oh, your dogs are so cute." And I said, "I know, aren't they? They're rescue." And he said, "I have a rescue at home." And then the light was about to change, I thought. So I said, "Don't forget to go vegan." And all of a sudden he looks down at me, he says, "Linda, don't you remember you came to me a year ago to get your oil changed and you told me the movies to watch? I'm vegan."
Oh. That's wonderful.
I know. So that happens, things like that happen to me because I'm always talking about it somehow. Just that alone is a full-time job.
Right.
So I was going to have to spread it out among a lot of people. People don't realize how much work it is in just cleaning up the pig shit, in the barn. I mean, my boots today, because from 2 days ago, are just caked in cow and pig shit. But I had to help clean up, right?
Right.
And then one little piggy kept escaping.
Welcome to the Better Life for Animals podcast, where we amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. Through powerful stories and expert insights, we shine a light on the efforts to rescue, protect, and advocate for animals. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Every follower helps us reach more people. And support animal sanctuaries. Enjoy the conversation.
Linda Middlesworth, founder of Vegan Mentor, is dedicated to promoting veganism as a means to enhance health, compassion for animals, and environmental sustainability. Welcome, Linda. Thank you for joining us on this podcast.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here with you, Cheryl.
I love your name, Vegan Mentor, because I think in a world where we're mostly non-vegans, us vegans need to stick together and we need all the support that we can get.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could just tell us your journey to how you became a vegan up until when you formed this wonderful company.
Okay, thank you. Yes, it was 37 years ago, and I was a very sick puppy. I was 44 back then, and I was teaching aerobics full time and had a graphic design business, but I was on death's door. I had cancer, I had heart disease, I had prediabetes, I had high blood pressure, and 55 extra pounds I didn't need, even
Really?
though I was teaching 25 classes a week at the time. And because you can't exercise off a bad diet.
No, it's so true.
And so that I moved to a new neighborhood, and I was so lucky because I moved next door to a lady who I'm still friends with. Her name is Frances McChesney. We were walking our dogs around the block, and I was so scared because I was dying, I thought. And I went ahead and told this brand new lady my whole story, my whole health story. She said, at the end of it, she said, "Oh, don't worry, Linda. You can look up Dr. John McDougall and that'll go away." And I said, "Who?" Well, anyway, I went and got his book at the time and I read it 3 times. And it made complete sense to me because everybody was getting well when they started a plant diet. So my journey into the whole world of animals began with my health, but that was only for 1 week. 1 week later, we're walking our dogs around the park, and I'm feeling really hopeful now about my life. And she said, "Linda, you know what happens to dairy cows?" I said, "No, but I sure miss the cheese." Oh my goodness, I was so addicted to cheese. Now I know it's an opiate effect why I was so addictive. But I said, "I don't know." And she told me a few sentences of what happened with the mother being separated from her baby and the baby running after her mom or the mom running after her baby. And I became an animal rights activist on the spot. That was it. Then I read Peter Singer, Animal Liberation. Then I saw Gail Eisner's Slaughterhouse.
Mm.
And then I did Food Revolution and a few other books. And I became a complete activist. That was my number one purpose in life. And 37 years later, it is still my main purpose in this life because I cry every night for what's happening to these innocent beings for no reason at all. So that's how it began. And then I I've been working on all three fronts, but my heart is with the protecting and saving our animals from harm. And
Absolutely.
that's why I call my business Vegan Mentor, because I'm not afraid of the word vegan. The word vegan, a lot of people don't know what that word means. Even people I know. I have like 5,600 people in my meetup group, and I swear, whenever I ask them when I see them, do you know what the word vegan actually means? They actually don't know. They think it's a diet, has nothing to do with food. And so I explained to them that it started in 1944 with Donald Watson creating the word vegan out of the word vegetarian. He took the first three letters and the last two and put it together for the word vegan. And his definition for was do no harm to sentient beings, from animals to human animals to insects to fish to chicken to everything, every species. And so when people say, "Oh, I could never be vegan," they're saying to me, "Oh, I could never do no harm." So I'm not afraid of the word vegan because it means do no harm. What a better word. Do no harm. Ahimsa. Same
Ahimsa.
ahimsa.
Exactly.
Anyway, so then I think it was in 2008 I started the Sacramento Vegan Society, and I have 5,600 members in there now in Sacramento. And then it's a meetup group. And so we meet regularly. I put on events and things like that. But then I started my Vegan Mentor. I think it was a 2011 or 15. I'm not sure. One of those. I started the Vegan Mentor coaching because I had gotten certified in certain things and felt confident to be a coach to help other people get well. But what they don't know is that my main goal to get them well is it makes me very happy, but I'm happiest about the fact that they're not eating animals anymore because that's my heart. And everybody knows me that if they don't want to hear about animals from me, they have to just stay away from me because I never stop talking about them. I do it in a kind way. I don't tell people they have to go vegan or anything horrible like that. I don't even tell them they have to stop abruptly if they don't want to. But I let them know things about what's happening indirectly and kindly. And then I get people on board with me. I try to get one person per day.
My goodness.
Whether
That's
it's
inspirational.
well, I do it on the telephone when I call Apple Care technical people. I end every conversation with "Don't forget to go vegan," and they'll say, "Oh, I've been thinking about that," or "I could never do that." But that starts the conversation, and then I give them the name of the movies and what they should do first. And and I have some really cute stories about having done that to somebody. I think I'll repeat it here because it's one of my favorite stories. I was I have two really cute rescued pit bull mix, and when I drive on this certain street, there's a long light, and I roll down the window, and they're looking out the window, and the people get so excited about seeing them because they're really cute. They roll down their window and they tell me things like how cute your dogs are. And right under the window there, it says vegan. And so one time there was a big truck next to me, and he rolled down his window, and he said, "Oh, your dogs are so cute." And I said, "I know, aren't they? They're rescue." And he said, "I have a rescue at home." And then the light was about to change, I thought. So I said, "Don't forget to go vegan." And all of a sudden he looks down at me, he says, "Linda, don't you remember you came to me a year ago to get your oil changed and you told me the movies to watch? I'm vegan."
Oh. That's wonderful.
I know. So that happens, things like that happen to me because I'm always talking about it somehow.
You're listening to Better Life for Animals podcast. Our mission is to amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. First of all, go ahead and subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching or listening. And then get involved by visiting betterlifeforanimals.com. That's betterlifeforanimals.com. Be sure to check out our blog, learn more about incredible sanctuaries, and explore our book section, where 100% of net proceeds from book sales are donated to sanctuaries. Every action you take helps to make a difference. And remember, subscribe to this channel. And now, back to the show.
I love that you're expressing your values. So much of being a vegan, because we're the minority, we're told to just keep it to yourself. Isn't that nice? Good for you. But that's not creating lasting change, and that's not helping the animals, is it?
No, so that's why I tell the group that I work with now that every day I even try to call the bank sometimes just so I can say, and don't forget to go vegan, because I have to get one person a day to listen to me. And I have had quite a few people who go ahead and do it. I got the security guard at the Apple store. On the way out, I said, don't forget to go vegan. And he said, oh, I'm thinking about it. And he's vegan now. You know what I mean? So if you
Yeah.
don't talk about it, they don't know it's important, number one. Number two, they have heard of it. They have maybe somebody in their family or friends have done it, and you're the trigger. Just one more person saying something and you can plant that seed. I even had a lady call me 9 years later. She said, I'm ready.
Wow.
hmm So yeah, it really, I wear something vegan on me, a hat, shirt, says vegan on it all the time. And it starts all kinds of conversations. And sometimes very negative, but that's how I get them. They say, "Oh, that's horrible. I could never. I got to eat my meat. No, I could never do that." And I say, I used to think the same way. I thought just like you did. I thought people who were vegan were crazy. I mean, really? We were taught to eat all this meat and it's good for your protein, and you got the dairy for your calcium. And so I go ahead and explain how I changed over and why. But I get this whole conversation because I didn't confront them. I accepted them as who they are. I was like that. I was you. And
I,
that
I
keeps it.
love how you do that, how you're not being confrontational, you're not shaming them. You're you've got a wonderful way of delivering it so that you can say we're all in this together. And I was like that once too.
Yeah. And sometimes they'll say, I have to. And I said, well, do you imagine yourself in their position? Would you like to be exploited like they are? If it's getting to that point, I don't always do that. And
I've had people say yes, but it's so humane the way we do it. And I said,
yeah,
have you asked the animal if it's okay? And they look at me like, why would I, what? And I'm like, well, it is their life. And yeah, I've had one person say, well, I can see you're very passionate about this, and they let it go. But I really hear you that we are not speaking up enough.
well, most of my vegan friends, they do animal rights actions with me. I don't know what they do on personal levels like I do, but they do a lot of animal rights actions. So that's great. But my people into health or the older people like me, they don't want to know about that animal thing. Just don't talk about it. What you got to eat? Is there a party? Are we going to a movie? But they're not into thinking about this purpose I have. And I find that very frustrating because they don't seem to change very much. Every once in a while, I'll put a nail in the coffin here and I'll say, does anybody know what the word vegan means? And they all look at me like, huh? Oh, yeah, we don't eat animals. I said, no, that's not the meaning. It doesn't even mean compassion. It just means do no harm, do not exploit them, justice for animals. And I think that people don't have any idea. Even some of my animal rights friends don't know the meaning of it. You know what I mean? They care about the animals, but they don't know the actual meaning of it. So I talk about that with every talk I give or whenever I'm talking to anybody
So with
because
your older friends, do you just stick with the diet aspects of it, the health? It sounds like you work your way in through health a lot with your programs
I do.
whenever.
And
Yeah, that's the
I
best
have
angle.
yeah, I have one lady in my aerobics class. I'm not supposed to talk about it in my aerobics class, but she wanted to know how to lose weight. So I told her. And she and her husband both lost like 35 and 45 pounds. And I came up to him about 6 months later, up to her, and I said, do you ever think about what happens to the animals? This is before I was going to teach them class, aerobics class, and she said, "Oh no, 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 I don't want to know about that." I have never talked to her again about it because if I did, I would just push her away further. So some people are closed completely. They're so happy with me because they lost the weight and they look great now, and they didn't before, and they exercised a lot. But now that just doesn't, it's not, they don't want to know. And and I ran into another guy like that when I was getting my car fixed. And he said, "Oh, we're all going to die sometime," because I used the health issue. I told him I got rid of my cancer, my heart disease, and all that. "Oh, we're all going to die sometime, you know." And then they went, "Oh, my dad lived to 105." I said, "Okay." I gave up on him. I said, "It was very nice talking to you." And that was it. Because you can't waste your time too long if they're that closed. He had, oh, the cows are going to overrun the earth if we don't eat them. You've heard that one.
I have.
Um, what was the other one? We're all going to die sometime. I've never felt better in my life. And
Neither have I.
I can see he's 60 pounds overweight, but he's never felt
Oh,
better in his life, he tells me.
okay. Well, isn't it
So,
kind of like smoking used to be, except that there weren't any animals involved. So I think that makes it worse. But there was a time when everyone smoked. And if
yeah,
you
I
said, you're
know.
going to die of lung cancer, they're going to say, well, everybody has to die sometime. But now smoking is no longer
Taboo.
really socially acceptable. So I think the same can happen here. And there's
I
so
do
much
hope
more at
so.
stake, even more so, I think. I mean, what you do to your body, I believe, is your business. But when you are involving an innocent animal, then they it's incumbent on us to speak up on their behalf. One of
Yeah.
the things that I just want to talk to you about is VDog, because I
Right.
remember I used to I still subscribe to VDog. And one time when I was holding a nonprofit, you were so kind and you sent me bags of food and things for my fundraiser. So thank you for that. But I just love how it's so interesting to me how I can be vegan. My friends are accepting of my veganism, they think, but then they come over and they see my dogs. And I had a dog that was elderly, very much, she was like 18 years old, and she was very emaciated.
Yeah.
And friends said, well, Cheryl, that's because you don't feed her meat.
Yeah.
And I just didn't even, I said, no, that's not the reason. But isn't it interesting how people still, even if they're taking it on for themselves, they won't extend that to their pets because they think that those are animals have to have meat, just as they thought they had to have meat. I heard you speak on this about how there is a chemical or some sort of evolutionary transition for
Yeah.
dogs.
A hormone that they have now over evolution. Just like we switched out of meat, they can too, and they do, and they have evolved since they were wolves to have this extra enzyme which allows them to digest starch like we can. So that's
Interesting.
the difference. And that's why they do so well. Our lab reports on our dogs are coming out so well. And my dogs that I've had since 2005, we were the first vegan dog food to come on the market. But my dogs get beautiful lab reports. And I don't know if you know this, but we were just in a film with two doctor vets who did studies on can dogs be plant-based? Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay, I'll send you the link to it later
Okay, thank you.
because in the movie, they took a whole year and put dogs on a plant-based diet and they got so well and their numbers just were stellarly good. And we didn't know it, but they used B-Dog. B-Dog was the plant food they were using. And so the numbers came out really well at the end.
That's
And it was
wonderful
connected,
endorsement.
it was connected, I think, to that movie, You Are What You Eat or something. But
Okay.
anyway, so I will send you the link on that so you can see the lab reports, and they have done studies on on our dog food too, which come out really nicely. And even my vet said, "What is your dog eating?" Great lab work. And I said, "Bee dog." And she's, "Oh, dogs can't be vegan." My vet. And I said, "Well, see, you can see the proof right here. Dogs can be vegan."
Well, sort of reminds me of the medical community is behind on nutrition. They haven't really done all the research to see the benefits of a vegan diet. And then you have, I just always been amazed that the veterinary community, of all people, you would think they would be looking into, doing no harm to their fellow animals.
Well,
But
they're the only medical community that eats their patients.
yeah. Well, I'm really happy to hear that there's a movie out that supports vegan lifestyles for dogs. I think that that should be out there right along with everything else. I mean, I'm just looking for that. One day there's going to be an ad or something's going to shift where it's just all of a sudden this behavior is going to become unacceptable. And I
Yeah.
don't know what that's going to look like, but it's little things like this as I think as we chip away at it. And then one day it's just going to go poof. We just won't be doing that anymore.
And on top of that, the dog food you can buy in the store with the meat-based dog food, you don't want to know what is in there. I mean, you have the bottom of the barrel of the farm fish with all the PCBs and dioxins and things like that, antibiotics and all the animals that go in there. And these animals can come from all over the world and be stuffed in, and the worst parts of the animals. It's just horrifying. So I'm glad we don't have to do that. It would be better if people bought their own animal and cooked it, but it's not necessary. That's the point. It's not necessary. And our dogs are thriving and happy. They love the food. We have a newer product. It's called, I don't know if you know, Happy Harvest. Do you know that? It's a canned food.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
we have it.
canned food. And now my dogs used to love the kibble by itself, but if I don't put my Happy Harvest on top, they go, "Okay, you
Where's
forgot
the good
something,
stuff?
Mom.
Huh?
You forgot something, Mom."
Yeah.
So,
We'll
so
come
yeah,
back and check, and I'm sure you'll have figured out what it is that's missing.
yeah.
Well, so
So,
much of this of factory farming goes to feed other animals.
oh,
It's just horrific.
oh, yeah. I don't know the numbers exactly, but I know it's a lot.
Yeah.
So
So
here we are feeding our animals and um, feeding cows and pigs and chickens and everything to grow until we can murder them. And we can't even feed the human population because we're using all the land and the food to give to animals. Soy, corn, and wheat mainly, you know.
it just makes no sense, whatever.
It doesn't make sense. And people starving in some parts of the world, it's really horrifying.
It
So,
is a tragic state of events indeed.
mhm.
One of the things that we like to do on this podcast is talk about the good work that's happening with the founders and the workers and the animals within animal sanctuaries. And I'm wondering if you have any experience, do you spend any time with any sanctuaries that you would like to
Oh,
talk about?
oh, I love talking about sanctuaries. Years ago, when I first started, my sorry, my husband died 11 years ago, but before that, he and I used to go every chance we could to two sanctuaries in California. One's called Farm Sanctuary,
Mm-hmm.
and he moved to Watkins Glen, New York. He has one in LA too, but too far for us right now. But then that's Gene Bauer, and then Kim Sturla started Animal Place in California. So when I was at one year when I was at Gene Bauer's sanctuary, I was standing in the barn and there was a cow about 50 feet away, and I was kind of looking at it. Great big cow, black and white guy. Anyway, all of a sudden he comes trotting over to me and he gave me a big lick up the side of my face, and somebody took a picture. Well, now that's my logo that says Linda Middlesworth. That's the logo.
Of
And it
course.
is so, I mean, it's my best, most cherished picture ever. Well, just 2 days ago it was, yeah, I went to a sanctuary here in Sacramento, It's a new one, smaller. We were cleaning up the cages, and we were cleaning up the branches that fell on the chicken coop and things like that. And again, there was a cow in the pasture, and I put my head here on the fence. He came over, kissed me here, kissed me here, here. He would have kissed me all day if I left my face there. And I go, oh my God, deja vu. Cows love me. That's all there is to it. And it
They're
felt
such
like,
gentle creatures.
oh, and his eyes, his endearing
Mhm.
eyes were so big. And over those endearing eyes were these eyelashes about 2 inches long. And you look in the eye and he looks so sweet, like, hi, I'm here for you. I just felt loved by this cow. His name was Bronson, and I'm in
Mm.
love with Bronson now, really. So, but I love Animal Place too because I'm going this in March. I'm going to have VDog there as a tabling event, and they get to meet the animals. So I'll have somebody cover my booth so I can go meet the animals I have to. But also, when my husband died, Kim had my memorial at that sanctuary.
Oh,
And we have a whole cow pasture with cows in it with my husband's name and plaque on it. So
beautiful.
anyway, it's a very special place for me. And I'll be there in March again. So, and we have another wonderful lady, Madolika, who runs in Dixon, which is not too far from Sacramento. She has a sanctuary. What a wonderful lady. She's like you and me. Everything I post, she goes, Linda, I think so too, because she's a real animal lover, and she has a sanctuary too in Dixon. And so there's one, two, three, four sanctuaries right around me. And so, yeah, I try to spend as much time as I can. And then, oh, I have to tell you about Rowdy Girl.
Oh, yes.
You know Rowdy Girl?
Yes.
Well, Renee's a friend of mine, and I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, she had me go to Texas so I could be a speaker. And guess who got to speak with me? I mean, I got to speak with him, I should say. Dr. Salish Rao.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. He was a
How
speaker and I was a speaker.
fabulous.
I know. So I got to meet him personally, and he's been a speaker for me ever since. And so, yeah, he's fantastic. So, I did get to meet everybody at Rowdy Girl, and we've been friends ever since. And she supports our company, VDog, too.
I don't
And
think people realize the hard work that goes into setting up and running a sanctuary. Those people do not get vacations as we know them. It's just,
no,
and there's always underfunded. They're always running on a shoestring. There's
oh,
never enough. So we've got to shine a light, I believe, on those
oh,
sanctuaries.
anytime you can donate anything, please do to sanctuaries. Like I have a friend who was going to move a sanctuary just recently here to my area, and she's from Minneapolis, and she was going to bring that whole sanctuary here in California. We turned out she's not going to do it now, but she said, Linda, if I do this, I need you to help me do something. I said, what? She said, I need you to organize the fresh vegetables for all the animals. I can't do it
Oh,
alone. So I was
yeah.
going to be organizing all these people. Okay, you have Monday and Tuesday, you have Wednesday, Thursday. Go get the vegetables left over at grocery stores or restaurants and take them to the sanctuary. Just that alone is a full-time job.
Right.
So I was going to have to spread it out among a lot of people. But people don't realize how much work it is in just cleaning up the pig shit, in the barn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's, my boots today, because from 2 days ago, are just caked in cow and pig shit. But I had to help clean up, right?
Right.
And then one little piggy kept escaping, so we had to put new boards down because she knew Penelope knew how to get out of there. She knew how. She was very smart. As you know, pigs are so smart
They
too.
are so smart.
Hmm.
It's just tragic that people don't know how they're just like dogs. They're actually smarter than dogs.
Yeah, they have the cognition of a 3 or 4 year old child, I think. They can
Yeah.
count, they can, they know names and places, and I mean, it's crazy. And we treat them like objects.
Yes.
It harms my heart so much.
As it does mine.
Yeah.
Is Is there anything else that you would like to share with us? Because this has just been such a wealth of wisdom and knowledge and grace. I really have appreciated your talk.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to say to people, if they're listening at all, I would like them to know that it's not your fault if you haven't realized this yet. I was 44 before somebody told me what's going on. And because it's invisible, it's not transparent. They hide these slaughterhouses, they hide these factory farms even behind closed doors. You don't see them. Sometimes you can smell them, but you can't see them. Like there's a chicken farm in I think it's Purdue Chicken Farm in Sonoma, which slaughters about 67,000 chickens every night. And you can smell it, even though they've hidden it behind big buildings. But we're actually doing action against that group right now for animal cruelty. But I like people to know that it's not your fault if you don't know about this yet. I find that I didn't know, and I thought I was pretty intelligent. 44, I went to college, I thought I knew everything. No, I didn't know anything. I was shocked when I found out. So I want people to know you've been brainwashed since you were a child, like I was. I used to feed my daughter chicken in a little Gerber jar. Here comes the protein. Come on, honey, you got to eat it. She didn't want it, but I fed it anyway. And it's just, we think it's the right thing to do. We think we need protein. We think we need calcium from dairy. It's all a big lie. I mean, I've been doing this for 37 years. I'm 81 and I teach aerobics and I teach
Incredible.
weight training, and I have muscles. I don't know if you can see my muscle.
I can.
I got
Good
muscles.
for you.
I got muscles, and I can outdo some of my 30-year-olds when I teach.
That's amazing.
So it's really important for our human body to exercise, to eat right, to have less stress, to do no harm to other people or other species, and to be doing good in the world. I think that all helps us, but it's not your fault if you haven't gone down that path yet, because maybe you're just finding out now that this is completely unnecessary. I especially like to talk about calcium because I really thought I had to have that dairy for my calcium, and I found out it does just the exact opposite.
Right. Leaches it out.
It's acid. So when we eat dairy like cheese or ice cream or milk or anything, it actually leaches the calcium from your bones. So it gives you more bone fractures as you age, not less than. So I like to talk about that always. And then a lot of people too, I'd like to say, if you have diabetes, you don't have to have it. Diabetes is the easiest one I reversed. I had two clients of mine. One was diabetic. They were sisters, and they were both over 100 pounds overweight. And they came to my aerobics class and they said, we want to lose weight. I said, you're not going to lose weight in here. What? Doing my weight training class. No, you will get stronger. You will get fitter, but you won't lose the weight. So they came to me after class and said, well, what do we do then? I told them how to eat a plant diet. Guess what? They did it. They both did it. And one of the sisters with diabetes, had diabetes for 27 years. And her doctor said, I have to take you off metformin. What are you doing? I'm eating plants. And the other one was featured in Women's World for losing 130 pounds. So it works to get your body in the right size. It works to take away your heart disease like I had. It even takes away many cancers, especially the breast, prostate, and ovarian cancer. Those are the easiest ones to me, because those are hormonally charged. And if you're eating the hormones from the dairy, especially, you can get, the number one reason for cancer of all animal protein causes cancer, heart disease, diabetes, obesity. But the number one cause that Dr. T. Colin Campbell will tell you, our famous researcher from Cornell, is dairy. Dairy is our number one source for cancer. That's why I had cancer. I was eating mostly dairy and a little bit of chicken and fish. And I don't have cancer anymore for 37 years. Because
Congratulations.
thank you, because I took out all the dairy and all the animal products.
It's such a simple switch
Oh,
for your health. I
it
mean,
is,
that would,
but then when people are addicted to that high fat, high sugar, high salt diet, it can be challenging at first. But I give you people guidelines on what they got to do if they're serious about doing it.
and that's what Vegan Mentor is all about.
Yeah, that's what Vegan Mentors. I do a 30-day get healthy program
Okay.
where I help people. I give them guidelines and some recipes I like, and they have to log into me daily and tell me what they're eating so I can see what's going on. And then they finally learn it, and within a few weeks, they start having their tastes change, and it doesn't seem so boring anymore because my vegetables taste so good to me now. And I eat so many potatoes. I tell people they say I'm diabetic. And I said, well, I was too, but I eat 12 potatoes a day sometimes. 12. Well, they're not real big, but still, you know, and they can't believe it because they love potatoes, but they don't eat them because they have diabetes.
It's
Because,
what you put on the potato that's the problem, right?
yeah, it's the oil. It's
Yeah.
the oil that usually goes and salt on the potato. Well, salt doesn't cause diabetes, but oil does.
Interesting.
And so I think people don't realize that it's the saturated fat that goes in your cell that blocks the sugar from working in your body. Your pancreas is not working right anymore because the insulin can't carry the glucose or the sugar into your cell anymore when you eat saturated fat from animals. Animal products have no fiber whatsoever. Even olive oil is 14% saturated fat and has no fiber either. The processed food. So I encourage people to take that out. But really, to get rid of the extra weight, taking out the oil is also key. I used to cook everything in oil. I thought you were supposed to. I thought it was
Hmm.
healthy. Yeah. So really, I love helping people get well, and I love helping the animals. I know I'm helping the animals. Every time I help somebody get well, I'm helping some animals get well or be safe. And that's my goal in life. I just really, and since our planet needs us to stop feeding so many animals and to kill and start feeding our humans and protecting our animals and letting them have their own families. They want families like we do. They
Just
love
like
their
us.
babies. They love
Yes.
their babies. They don't want their babies to be taken away.
No.
And we do that to them. So, yeah, that's my goal in life. And I feel sorry for people who don't have a purpose. I really don't know what that means. I think I've always had some purpose in my life, but now my whole heart and purpose is on protecting those precious animals who coexist on this earth with us, who have no choice but to undergo these horrific, painful um, experiences to get on our dinner plates. And and then of course now I did a little environmental talk for VCOP 20 with Dr. Saleesh Rao on bird flu because so many people don't realize that bird flu comes from confining all our animals together, and now we have 50% of the cows in California are infected with bird flu right now. They're quarantined 50%, and we have more cows and more milk supply here than we do any other state. We're the
It,
biggest supplier.
it had really been my hope that COVID would wake us up to that when they were just pouring out milk because they didn't have a distribution for it. I thought, okay, this is it. And this was not it. I'm so sad about that. I actually wrote a book about that.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
called Gabriel. It's about the milk industry.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I love your light and your wisdom, and I appreciate you coming on to the show today and enlightening us all. Where can we all find you? How can we help you?
Um, Vegan Mentor is my
Okay.
website. So that's the easiest way to contact me. And if you want to remember my email, it's veganmentor@gmail.com. It's that
Okay.
simple. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. It's very much an honor to talk to somebody like you. And I
Thank
know
you, Linda.
I know your heart is where mine is, and it makes me feel really good.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on the Better Life for Animals podcast. Together, we can create a world where all beings are treated with dignity, respect, and care. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. It helps us reach more people and spread awareness about the incredible work happening in animal sanctuaries. You can also share this episode with friends and fellow advocates to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep speaking up, taking action, and making a difference for the animals.